Hello and welcome. Today we're going to talk about APIs and integration. Again, we're assuming that you don't have a background in software development, so we're going to start very basic today to talk about integration. Why do we need integration and APIs and REST APIs and so on? So to break it down and just oversimplify it, we start by saying that there's no company that uses one system. For example, I have a travel agency. My travel agency, to keep track of my customers and people that bought tickets, I have a CRM. I have a customer relationship management software called Salesforce. But then I need to keep accounting information. So for my accounting information, I have everything in QuickBooks. And then I have customer inquiries and complaints and things that I'm working on. So I have anything that has to do with that customer service. I have ServiceNow. So I have an application for my customers, Salesforce. I have another one for accounting, QuickBooks, and I have another one for customer service, which is ServiceNow. And sometimes I need to exchange that data from one system to the other. For example, my accountant needs to know the opportunities and correct some account information or get some contact information. So he or she are going to need to connect to Salesforce to get that data. Or my salesperson who is on Salesforce is trying to see if there's any tickets or cases that were opened in the last 30 days by that customer. So they need to get data from ServiceNow. So how do I get service from one system to the other? That's what integration means. Is basically, we're going to need to get data from one system into this system or from this system into that system. There's certain factors that allow us to choose what kind of integration we could use. There's different kinds of integration. For example, frequency. My accountant needs to get data from Salesforce. He's using QuickBooks or she's using QuickBooks, and they need the data in Salesforce once a year. Come tax season, they need to get all the accounts and contacts we have in Salesforce just 1 year. Guess what? In that case, I could just export it, which is going to take 5-10 minutes once a year, and then they can import it and we're done. That's all the integration that they need to get their data. But in some cases, we need that data real time. For example, the moment I create an account as an accountant on QuickBooks, I want that account to be created on Salesforce. 5 minutes later, I create a second account. I want it immediately to be created also on Salesforce. So there, I need something that's real time. The moment you create it here, it's created here as well. So in that case, I need something that's real time, and that's where APIs and REST APIs comes in. Of course, there's a variety of tools out there. You could do it programmatically using APIs like REST API, or you could use different platforms, depending on how mature your development team is, such as SSIS, which is a Microsoft product as an ETL tool and business intelligence, or MuleSoft, which is a Salesforce product that allows us to plug into so many different platforms very readily and very easily, or something like a CData, which if you're using something where you can use ODBC connection, you can connect from Excel to Salesforce or from Salesforce to Excel or Google Sheets or LinkedIn, or they have so many connectors in something like CData. So there's so many different ways to integrate, to get your system, your data from one place to the other. Another question that's important in my integration, other than frequency, is direction. Does the data go from one system to the other? In other words, is it unidirectional? Or does it need to go from one system to the other and from that system back to the system as well, where we call it bi-directional? For example, I want to create an account in QuickBooks. The moment it's created in QuickBooks, I automatically wanted to create an account in Salesforce. When I create an account in Salesforce, I wanted to automatically create an opportunity, and then I want that opportunity to go straight and automatically be created in QuickBooks. So this is an example of bi-directional, where I'm going to do something here, the data is going to copy over here, I'm going to do something here in Salesforce, and it's going to automatically create something in QuickBooks. So I need a bi-directional form of integration as well. So there's different things that we're looking at. Of course, there's cost, depending on, are you looking at something that has a subscription, a development cost, or are you purchasing something, and the technical skill that you have. Now, to further understand integration, and now we're talking about APIs and REST APIs, we're going to take a hypothetical example just to get the concept, assuming we don't have any background in development, and then we'll see how that works in Salesforce. I'm the manufacturer of cell phones, hypothetically speaking. So I created this cell phone, and you would like to create and manufacture your own speakers. So you want to access features that I have on the cell phone, not by going through the cell phone, but from your own device. For example, on my phone, I have a camera, and also on my phone, I have an MP3 player. So you want to create a speaker or a headset that allows people to remotely on your device be able to control the volume and move from one MP3 to the next one. So one of us, as a manufacturer, one of you created this device over here. So from this device, I create an API. So now you can access volume or MP3 clips, and you can higher the volume, lower the volume. So through the API, you're able to do it. Another person leveraged that even more and created a second device. And in this device, as you can see here, they can kind of create the volume, they can control the volume because I give them an API to give them. So think about again, API is not security and access. I'm not giving them access and security because it's not within Salesforce. It's a different platform, different device, different platform where you're accessing what's in here. So from here, you can go to click once and go to the next song or turn it off or higher the volume or lower the volume. So similarly in Salesforce, I can give you an API access, which means not from within Salesforce or logging into Salesforce, but from QuickBooks or ServiceNow or whatever you're developing, you can access the accounts and contacts and opportunities that I have in Salesforce. You're not logging into Salesforce, no, from your own platform, which is QuickBooks or NetSuite or a website or web portal, whatever, you can access accounts and contacts. Now, the reverse is also true, which means you have your own platform, which is ServiceNow or NetSuite or whatever, QuickBooks, and I from Salesforce can access the data, not log it into your system, but from Salesforce, I can pull up account information from QuickBooks or from NetSuite or from your web portal. An example of that, and this is in one of the exercises that we're going to work on in one of the other next sessions, is a couple of examples. For example, is let's say I have a trucking company. So my drivers, they pick up a load and they go from Dallas, types in, I'm going to go to Maryland. So they want to see how far it is. They want to go to Baltimore, Maryland. As they type in the destination, I want to show them what the weather is. So what do? I go and Google weather API. And I find that there's a website or a web portal or a web service that basically I can subscribe to. And from there, the moment in Salesforce you enter that address, I'm going to call that service and I will get the temperature in that city that you're going to. So when you type in Baltimore, Maryland, it's going to go to that web service. It's going to pull the temperature and display it on Salesforce. Another example, for example, would be address validation. A big issue is about 5 to 10% of addresses that we enter into Salesforce are incorrect. I don't want to have that problem. I want, whenever you type it in, to type the verify address or validation. And there are web services. So I can go in Google and search, for example, address verification API. And I'm going to find some services where you can validate the address and make sure it's valid. So once you enter the address on Salesforce, I'm going to give you a button to press validate address. When you click on it, guess what? It's going to go out to that web service and check out the address. Is it valid? If it's valid, it's going to send it back. If it's not valid, it's going to suggest another address from me and say, enter that address in place of it. That's the correct address. The lab that we're going to work on more specifically is, or one of the labs we're going to work on more specifically is going to be on rate exchange or the exchange rates. So I have opportunities where I sell products all over the world. So even though you're entering the price in here, but if you're selling it in Mexico, the moment you type in Mexico, I want to get the conversion rate today of that currency, the exchange rate as of today. How many US dollar, how many pesos per US dollar? Or if I'm selling in Sweden, I want to see how many euros per US dollar. Or if I'm selling in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, I want to see how many riyals, Saudi riyals per $1. What am I going to do? I'm going to go online and search exchange rate APIs, find that service, do whatever subscription that I need. And then when you click on find that rate, it's going to call it, bring it back and enter that value. So that's an example of an API. I hope this simplifies and introduces the concept and the importance of integration, and more specifically, what we're going to look at here shortly, which is REST APIs. Best of luck.
Thank you for joining us in today's session. We hope that you enjoyed it, and we'd like to invite you to a lot of our free sessions. Simply visit our website at kinseytech.com/events. Thank you again.